Crime in America has always been a hot topic, but in some cities, it's reached levels that feel almost impossible to manage. Rising violence, theft, and public safety concerns have made certain places notorious nationwide. While every city has good and bad neighborhoods, these 10 stand out for one reason: their crime is truly out of control. In this countdown, we'll break down the 10 US cities where crime isn't just a problem, it's shaping daily life. From violent crime rates that dwarf the national average, to property crimes that make owning a car feel like a gamble. These are the places where police, politicians, and residents are locked in an uphill battle. But it's not all about statistics. Behind every headline, these cities have stories of resilience, of people who still choose to stay, fight for change, and call these places home. We'll look at what makes these cities so dangerous, why crime spiraled the way it did, and how locals deal with living in environments many outsiders wouldn't dare to enter. Some of the names won't surprise you, cities that have been topping most dangerous lists for years, but others may shock you with just how far their crime problems have spread. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss our deep dives into America's most fascinating and sometimes frightening cities. Let's get started with city number 10. Albuquerque might surprise some people at the top of this list, but locals know the truth. Crime here has become a relentless problem. While the city is famous for its desert landscapes, cultural festivals, and as the filming location of Breaking Bad, it's also one of the most crime-ridden cities in America. Albuquerque's violent crime rate is several times higher than the national average. Assaults, robberies, and shootings are common, and the homicide rate has been steadily climbing. On top of that, property crime is at epidemic levels. For years, Albuquerque has ranked near the very top for stolen vehicles in the entire country. So why is crime so bad here? A big factor is the drug crisis, which has fueled everything from theft to violent confrontations. Poverty and unemployment also play a role, with many neighborhoods struggling to find stability. Add in an overburdened police department and inconsistent leadership, and residents often feel like they're on their own when it comes to safety. Despite all of this, Albuquerque remains a city people love. Its cultural mix, affordable housing, and natural beauty make it attractive for many. Families with deep roots stay because of community ties, while others are drawn to its unique Southwest charm. But they all share the same reality. Living in Albuquerque means constantly balancing the beauty of the desert with the danger of crime. Birmingham has long been a city of contradictions, rich with Southern history and culture, yet burdened with a crime rate that makes it one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Despite being smaller than many of the cities on this list, Birmingham consistently ranks near the top for both violent and property crimes. Homicides, shootings, and robberies are a persistent issue. In fact, Birmingham's violent crime rate is often more than triple the national average, making it a place where safety is a daily concern. Property crime is also rampant. Break-ins, car thefts, and burglaries happen so frequently that residents often say they simply expect it at some point. The reasons behind this are complex. Birmingham struggles with poverty and inequality, with nearly a quarter of its residents living below the poverty line. That lack of economic opportunity creates a cycle where crime becomes a way of life for some. On top of that, the city's police force has faced criticism for being underfunded and understaffed, leaving entire neighborhoods feeling vulnerable. And yet, Birmingham is not without its strengths. The city has a strong sense of community, a growing food and arts scene, and a deep cultural identity that keeps people connected to it. For those who call it home, Birmingham is more than just crime statistics. It's family, history, and pride. Still, moving here comes with real risks. Cleveland is a city with grit, resilience, and proud Midwestern roots, but it's also a city where crime feels like an everyday battle. Once a booming hub of manufacturing, Cleveland has faced decades of economic decline, and with that decline has come poverty, unemployment, and crime rates that remain among the highest in the nation. Violent crime is a serious issue here. Homicides, shootings, and assaults occur at rates well above the national average. Property crimes are equally troubling, from car thefts to burglaries. Many residents live with the reality that crime can strike at any time. For locals, this has created a constant sense of caution that defines daily life. One of Cleveland's biggest struggles is its high poverty rate, which is nearly double the US average. Generational poverty and lack of opportunities often feed the cycle of crime, with many neighborhoods left behind in terms of investment and infrastructure. Add in an overstretched police department, and it's easy to see why the problem feels overwhelming. Despite all this, Cleveland isn't without hope. The city has a loyal community of residents who refuse to give up on it. Its sports culture, music history, and Lake Erie views bring a sense of pride that keeps people rooted here, even when the odds are against them. Cleveland is tough, raw, and real, but it's also dangerous. Flint is a city where the rent is almost unbelievably cheap. Median rent sits around $750 a month, and it's not hard to find apartments for less. But before you get excited, Flint is also one of the clearest examples of how low rent often comes with high costs in other ways. The city is still haunted by its water crisis, which began in 2014 and exposed thousands of residents to lead contamination. While progress has been made, the reputation remains, and many outsiders are understandably hesitant to move into a city where basic infrastructure was once compromised so severely. Then there's the economy. Flint was hit hard by the collapse of the auto industry, and while some manufacturing remains, jobs are scarce and wages are low. Poverty rates are among the highest in the nation, and that leaves many residents struggling just to get by. Crime is another concern. Flint's violent crime rate is far above the national average, and property crime also runs high. Even if you can find cheap rent, safety becomes a day-to-day worry that weighs heavily on residents. And yet, people stay. Flint has a resilient community, a strong sense of local pride, and affordable housing that simply can't be matched elsewhere. For many who grew up here, leaving isn't an option, and despite everything, they still call Flint home. So here's the question: would you take bargain rent if it meant facing daily challenges with safety, jobs, and trust in basic services? Oakland sits right across the bay from San Francisco, and while its rent and cost of living are lower than its famous neighbor, the city faces a crime problem that's spiraled out of control in recent years. Violent crime here, shootings, robberies, and assaults, is consistently well above the national average. Car theft in particular has reached crisis levels, with Oakland ranking among the worst in the country. For many residents, it feels like no vehicle is safe, no matter where you park it. Part of the issue is Oakland's long-standing struggle with poverty and inequality. Some neighborhoods have seen economic growth and gentrification, while others remain neglected and plagued by unemployment. This divide creates hotspots where crime thrives. Another major factor is the city's strained police department. Budget cuts and staffing shortages have left law enforcement stretched thin, with slower response times and fewer patrols. Many residents say they no longer bother calling the police for smaller crimes because they don't expect much help. And yet, Oakland is a city full of life. It has a rich cultural history, a diverse population, and a strong sense of community. From its thriving art and food scene to its role in social movements, Oakland has a character that people love. But with crime rates climbing, living here requires resilience and constant awareness of your surroundings. Chicago is one of the biggest and most iconic cities in America, but it also has one of the most infamous reputations when it comes to crime. The city has been nicknamed Chirac by some locals, a grim comparison to war zones because of its persistent problem with gun violence and homicides. Every weekend, Chicago makes national headlines for the number of shootings reported across the city. While some neighborhoods rarely see violence, others experience it constantly, creating a sharp divide between the safe and unsafe parts of town. For many residents, hearing gunfire at night is just part of normal life. The roots of Chicago's crime problem go deep. Poverty, gang activity, and inequality have plagued the city for decades. Some neighborhoods face severe disinvestment, with few economic opportunities, crumbling schools, and a lack of resources, making crime a cycle that's hard to break. At the same time, Chicago is a city of contrasts. It has world-class architecture, incredible food, and thriving business districts. Millions of people call it home and wouldn't dream of leaving. But for those living in high-crime areas, survival often feels like the first priority. Despite police crackdowns and community programs, Chicago's crime levels remain a huge challenge. The city is both celebrated for its culture and feared for its violence. Baltimore is one of America's most historic cities, but in recent years it's become just as well known for its sky-high crime rates as for its iconic harbor and crab cakes. The city's homicide rate regularly ranks among the highest in the nation, with some years seeing more than 300 murders despite a population under 600,000. That means Baltimore's homicide rate is worse than many larger cities combined. New Orleans is famous worldwide for Mardi Gras, jazz, and its unique culture. But behind the parades and the music, the city struggles with crime that feels out of control. In fact, New Orleans often ranks among the most dangerous cities in America, with violent crime rates far higher than the national average. Homicides are a particular problem here. In recent years, the city's murder rate has surged to levels not seen in decades, making it one of the deadliest places in the country per capita. Robberies, assaults, and carjackings are also common, especially in areas outside the tourist-heavy French Quarter. The roots of the problem are complex. Poverty, limited job opportunities, and a struggling police department have all fueled the crime wave. Many locals complain about slow police response times and a justice system that feels overwhelmed and ineffective. For residents, that means crime isn't just an occasional headline, it's part of everyday life. At the same time, New Orleans is a city people love deeply. Its culture is unlike anywhere else in America. Its food is legendary, and its sense of community is strong. Tourists flock here, year after year, often unaware of the crime issues just blocks away from their hotels. For locals, though, living in New Orleans means balancing the joy of a vibrant, soulful city with the constant concern for safety. Detroit is a city that tells two stories at once. On one side, it's a place of cultural pride, the birthplace of Motown, a hub of automotive history, and a city fighting hard to reinvent itself. On the other, Detroit still struggles with some of the highest crime rates in America, making it a dangerous place to live for many residents. The numbers are staggering. Detroit's violent crime rate is consistently among the worst in the nation, with homicides, shootings, and assaults being regular occurrences. Car theft is another massive issue here, ironic for a city once known as the Motor City. Owning a car often feels like painting a target on your back. One of the root problems is poverty and economic decline. After decades of population loss, abandoned homes and entire blocks of empty properties became breeding grounds for crime. While some neighborhoods are experiencing revitalization, large areas remain neglected and unsafe. Police resources are stretched thin, and response times are often criticized by locals. Despite the risks, Detroit still has loyal residents who refuse to leave. Why? Because Detroit has grit. It's a city of survivors, of people who believe in its comeback story and see progress happening, even if slowly. The city's art, food, and music scenes are alive and well, and affordable housing keeps people grounded here. Still, outsiders often view Detroit as a gamble, one where the low cost of living comes at a steep personal risk. So, would you take the risk to be part of Detroit's rebirth, or is the crime just too much? Comment below and don't forget to hit like if this breakdown is hitting hard. St. Louis has earned a reputation as one of the most dangerous cities in America, and unfortunately the statistics back it up. With a violent crime rate that's often more than 4 times the national average, residents here face risks that go far beyond petty theft. Shootings, carjackings, and homicides are everyday realities, especially in certain neighborhoods. One of the biggest challenges is the stark divide between safe and unsafe areas. Some parts of St. Louis are filled with culture, restaurants, and history, while just blocks away, entire neighborhoods are plagued by crime and poverty. This patchwork reality makes it difficult for the city to shake its reputation, even as certain districts thrive. The economic picture doesn't help. St. Louis, once an industrial powerhouse, has struggled with job loss and poverty for decades. Limited opportunity often feeds into the cycle of crime, and with a police force stretched thin, residents feel like they're on their own when it comes to safety. Yet people stay. Why? St. Louis has deep roots, a rich sports culture, a strong sense of community, and affordable housing that keeps families tied to the city. For many, leaving just isn't an option. But there's no ignoring it. If you move here, crime is part of the equation. St. Louis may have charm, but it also has one of the highest homicide rates in the nation. Would you risk living in St. Louis for cheap housing and big city amenities? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more eye-opening breakdowns like this. So there you have it, 15 US cities where the rent is cheap, but life is anything but easy. From struggling economies to crime rates and collapsing infrastructure, these places remind us that low housing costs often come with hidden trade-offs. Sure, you can save hundreds on rent every month, but you might be paying in other ways, with your safety, your job opportunities, or even your peace of mind. But here's the thing, people still choose to live in these cities. Why? Because every place on this list isn't just numbers and headlines. They're communities. They're neighborhoods where families raise kids, where neighbors look out for each other, and where resilience shines even when the odds are stacked against them. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these cities surprised you the most? Would you personally take the risk for cheap rent, or would you rather pay more for comfort and stability elsewhere? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading and replying. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next countdown. We've got plenty more deep dives into America's most fascinating and challenging cities coming your way. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.